Today's GOP agenda rollout by Leader McCarthy was an opportunity squandered by his decision to once again bow to the MAGA crowd for his own political gain. Kevin McCarthy, who's supposed to be the leader of the Republican Party, is instead being led by a conspiracy theorist masquerading as a member of Congress. What's more, he's all too happy to raise money for his own political gain, offer dangerous antics. His actions today show Americans that he not only dismisses the dangers that peddling these conspiracy theories pose on our democracy, but he's outright supporting it. It is cowardly and disgusting. Republicans deserve better, Americans deserve better than a party that insists on pandering to this nonsense. In case anyone's forgotten the kind of nonsense that a sitting member of Congress has said, I want to read you a few of her most outlandish claims. Most recently, Marjorie Taylor Greene has regurgitated Russian propaganda that's been used to justify their invasion of Ukraine, calling Ukrainians Nazis. In a tweet back in March, Marjorie Taylor Greene said that, quote, "We should not spend billions of Americans' hard-earned tax dollars on lethal aid to be given to possible Nazi militias that are torturing innocent people. I'm here to remind you that the only country responsible for this unjust war is Russia. She's attacked any American that doesn't think, look, or act like her, calling them demonic and unfit for offense. She also called fellow members of Congress, fellow Americans, to go back to the Middle East because she disagrees with their political ideology. And by the way, I disagree with their political ideology, but their constituents voted for them, and they're duly elected Americans. Such outright racism does not belong anywhere. And it was just a few years ago that Kevin condemned this kind of behavior after she made racist remarks during her campaign. McCarthy's office said, quote, "Leader McCarthy has no tolerance for them." Now it seems that he not only tolerates her behavior, but supports it. Is this really who we are? The Marjorie Taylor Greenes of the party used to be censured and voted out. Now they're brought into the leader's inner circle. Today is a profoundly sad moment for the Republican Party. And these moments are becoming all too familiar. It has to stop.
I guess when you make Marjorie Taylor Greene the face of your party, you're pretty much telling those few Republicans remaining who aren't Looney Tune conspiracy theorists that there's no more room for them. That's pretty much what Kevin McCarthy has decided to do. Now, this comes in the aftermath of McCarthy's long-awaited Republican agenda rollout, because it apparently took the GOP 2 years of obstructing Democrats to figure out what they were actually for.
Our job is to work for you, not go after you. Our job is to make America stronger. We believe America's more than a country. America's an idea. We can secure our border. We could become energy independent, where your price of gas is lower. We can build an education system that has a parent's bill of rights, that you have a say in your kids' education. And we could be a check and balance on the rein in this government that's going after the individuals. If you believe like us, join with us, because this job won't be easy. We'll get it through the House. We need your help to get it all the way to his desk. You know, the president last night already attacked me in this plan. Maybe if I caused that much damage, I'd try to change the discussion too. But you know what? I welcome it. I challenge the president to join with us. Let's go across the country and let's debate what his policies has done to America and our plan for a new direction. And let's let America make the decision for the best way for this country to go forward. So join with us, and thank you for what you're doing.
Yep, there's Kevin McCarthy with Marjorie Taylor Greene right behind him, in case you were wondering who's actually leading the GOP these days. Now, as McCarthy notes here, America is more than a country, it's an idea, which is truly beautiful, and whatever 7th grader came up with that line should be proud. And the agenda itself doesn't get much better. McCarthy says that we can secure our border, which of course he mentions first, because every election, without fail, always sees the Republicans pivot right back to the border and migrant caravans. Every single time. And yet what's ironic is that the last time Republicans had full control of government, just a few years ago in 2017 to 2019, guess what they did on comprehensive immigration reform? Nothing. Not a single thing. Instead, they paid millions upon millions for Trump's vanity project, an unscalable border wall that migrants seem to have no problem scaling at all. So when Republicans wail about the border, just know that they have no intention of actually fixing it. They just want it to stay broken so that they can have a talking point around election time. McCarthy mentions energy independence, which is code for drilling and continuing to entrench our reliance on fossil fuels. And so even though we're currently in the midst of an energy revolution, even though manufacturing is now surging in the US thanks to this administration's embrace of renewables, even though renewable energy is cheaper and cleaner, even though our national security relies on being able to manufacture renewable energy here at home, and even though we're witnessing the danger right now of a world that's reliant on petrostates for fossil fuels, still Republicans are advocating for dirty energy. Why? Because they collect campaign donations from oil and gas companies. It's as simple as that. They'll put our planet at risk, our national security at risk, our future at risk, all because they want a check to keep their job every other November. There is nothing and no one these people won't trash in their own pursuit of power. McCarthy then moves on to an education system with a parent's bill of rights, which is a fancy way of saying that far-right extremists should be able to bully teachers into kowtowing to their extremist ideology. We've already seen a preview of what's to come in Florida, where teachers are banned from acknowledging the existence of LGBT Americans and banned from discussing our country's own history as it relates to race, which, if you know anything about US history, is kind of important. This isn't about empowering voiceless parents, it's about allowing far-right lunatics to be able to threaten litigation against teachers if they're not adequately conservative in their lessons. And here's my favorite one. McCarthy says that the Republican Party will be a check against this government that's, quote, going after the individuals. Yeah, Kevin, remind us, which individuals? Maybe the ones who stormed the Capitol on January 6th looking to assassinate Mike Pence and Nancy Pelosi? Maybe the leaders of far-right militias who organized to kill a bunch of Democrats on that day? Or maybe the guy who incited those people to do exactly that by feeding them bullshit for months on end? The guy who stole hundreds of classified documents from the White House and refused to return them? Maybe those people? In other words, Kevin McCarthy's argument here is that Americans should put Republicans in power so that those Republicans can help their own members evade accountability for their own crimes. Man, I don't know. Seems like a great platform. I'm not sure Democrats can figure out a way to beat help us allow our people to commit crimes. They might have gotten us on that one. And by the way, if you needed one more example of McCarthy's delusional thinking, it's him challenging Joe Biden to debates across the country. First of all, I'm sure Biden heard that line about America being an idea and recognized that he'd be no match for McCarthy's rhetorical prowess. That kind of speechwriting is easily good enough for third place in any local high school debate competition. Easily. But second, in all seriousness, Biden doesn't need to debate McCarthy because the Republicans have already made crystal clear what their actual agenda is. Their agenda is banning abortions nationwide. It's eliminating Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security. It's banning books, it's punishing teachers, it's throwing doctors into prison, it's pretending climate change doesn't exist, it's coddling fossil fuel companies, it's giving tax cuts to millionaires and billionaires, it's making sure guns flood the streets without any precautions, and it's refusing to accept any election results where they don't win. That's their agenda, and we know that because they've shown us. Don't listen to what they say, watch what they do. So if that's what you're looking for, vote for the GOP. But if you want a party that made sure that you got free COVID vaccines, if you want a party that upgraded our nation's infrastructure, if you want a party that passed the first gun safety package in decades, if you want a party that funded the biggest climate investment in history, if you want a party that finally allowed the government to negotiate lower drug prices and made the rich pay their fair share and forgave student loan debt for 43 million borrowers and added 10 million jobs and brought the unemployment rate down to a 50-year low and strengthened NATO and stood up to the world's autocrats and dictators, if those are your priorities, then the Democrats have already shown you that that is their agenda. Not because they wrote it on some little pamphlet, but because they did it. Actions speak louder than words, and those actions could not be more different between these two parties.